She was the animated one that loved to dress up. She was the princess, cowgirl. She ran the roost. She told everybody what to do and when to do it and how to do it, and she had a mind of her own, and she was strong, and she ran her own world. So Darcy was diagnosed at 4 years old with what we thought was medulloblastoma, but they didn't want to stamp it. They didn't want to start treatment yet because something was just a little bit different about it. And it came back a month later as a TRT, which is short for a typical pteroid rhabdoid tumor, which is very rare in her case. Instead of staying home in Texas to receive treatment, we decided to go to Memphis, Tennessee, because they had most of those cases at St. Jude, so we went for treatment there. So we were diagnosed January 21st. We had surgery on January 23rd of 2009. In February of that year, we went out to do her segment of radiation, which led to her chemotherapy, 9 months of that. And so when that was over in September, we came back home and everything was actually good for 3 years. In that 4th year, in the spring, they found a tumor in her spinal cord. And that brought on a whole new segment of radiation. And then they found a chemo that was called alisertib, and she was on that for 2 years. And actually, that chemo was wonderful. It kept her stable for 2 years. At the end of that treatment, that was when things kind of changed a lot. She had several tumors grow very quickly, including one in her ear drum, kind of the side of her face, and it caused some paralysis, and it caused a lot of other issues, so we treated that again with radiation. From there, we never found another chemo that worked, and so when that was over, we brought her back home and we went back to school, and we lived every day like she wanted to live. We lived every day defined by her. Her attitude was perfect. Her attitude was always perfect. She just wanted to live, and so she lived every day from the morning she opened her eyes until every night when she went to bed. Without a question. She never asked, why me? She just hit the ground running every day. We just had to create a life that was filled with everything that she would have wanted to do and everything that we wanted to do with her while she was with us. Because at some point you had to realize that she's going to go to a better place. I called Lizzie, our nurse, and I asked her to find us a hospice place. I wanted Darcy to build a friendship and a relationship with that person. I wanted her to know who was going to be her final caretakers in the medical world. And then she found a hospice company, and she called me and says, okay, the first nurse is going to come out this day.
She was called to the office, and we went into the nurse's room, and it went very smoothly for us the first try. And I think I kind of gained her trust, but she was also silly. So she was, we teased, you know, and then that's how it started.
They were part of our family. They were part of Darcy's world, and they always let her come first. And that was what I wanted it to be. And that's what the most special thing of hospice was to me.
As she got closer to the end and had some higher needs, we had explored different options for them at the end of Darcy's life, and one of them was our inpatient unit.
We didn't want to leave home. We wanted to stay at home. We wanted hospice to come to us. When Karen heard what was happening, she's like, it's time. Like, I love you, but she needs to go. Like, you don't want to do this at home. She needs more than what you're capable of offering, and so it's time to go. Darcy agreed, and so we had to then completely submit to following hospice and Darcy's wish for the best possible scenario in her world, in her end of life.
Our doctor had some conversations with Darcy's parents, what kind of timeline we were looking at, and asked them if They wanted him to talk to Darcy and be completely honest with her, or how they wanted him to communicate that with her. And they said, we want you to tell her the truth.
Nobody's ready for hospice, and nobody knows the emotional roller coaster until you live it. Nobody knows the conversations you have to have until you're in them. Nobody knows what's in the patient's mind until she's in it. And nobody can drive that world better than hospice, because that's what makes them hospice. I'm so thankful that we opened our thoughts to hospice, because at one time we didn't. Like, we just thought we wanted to stay home until we realized it was way above our head, way above our emotional strength or capability, and hospice guided us every step of the way through those final 4 days. Luckily, because it was a fast and furious 4 days, and to wrap your mind around that and to take care of her, we just needed someone else driving that situation. They just knew when everything had to happen, and they just were perfect at making it happen in the perfect timing, where it was never an urgent situation.
When it got close to the time where it looked like Darcy would be passing soon, Kathy got her up out of the bed, sat in the rocking chair, and cradled her in her arms. And it was very beautiful. She was very peaceful and very comfortable.
Forever thankful for the strength that we had because of hospice, because of the nurses that were there every step of the way. Like, that's a forever friendship, that's a forever relationship, and it doesn't go away. Neither does the memory, and neither do the laughs, and neither does those moments that we needed them, absolutely needed them to survive that short but difficult time. She had a plan. She created her world, and she made everybody follow that saying.
She marched to her own drum.
She marched to her own drum.
Yes, she
did.
did.
She surely did, and
Yes,
everybody just naturally followed.
And she's always giving gifts, and look at the gifts she gave us.
I know.